Alright, hi, so today I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do off-camera metering, basically with a film camera. So we're going to be shooting with a Leica M6 and a Zeiss 50mm 1.5, and I have a little Sekonic 308, just like basic little flash meter that I'm going to be using for incident light metering. So one thing I always do when I'm metering something like this is I'm shooting Portrait 400. So when I'm metering, I'm always metering the shaded side of the model's face right here. So we've got 500 at a 1.0, which is like a nonsense time. So we're going to be using 2/50th at 1.4. So let's do like one more like this. So then we had, let's see, 2/50th. Awesome. I'm going to do one in here again. Let's try have your hands up here or something maybe. I like looking down too, that was nice. Okay, so this is another situation that can be a little bit confusing, especially if you're going to go for a little bit more of a light and like brighter, a little bit more washed out look, as opposed to like a really super contrasty look. Our model now is in direct lighting, so we're still gonna be following the whole like exposing for the shadows rule, but we're gonna even out the exposure between the shadows and the highlights. Okay, so this is either gonna be telling me that I'm either doing 1000 at 1.4, or if I'm in the light, it's 1000 at 5.6. Since we know that most of her is in the highlight, we're gonna bias slightly towards that that overexposed reading, and so we're gonna do about 1000 at f4. This is another really complicated sort of lighting situation because we have these really hard squares of light from this cabana that we're under, and you can have the shadows are dramatically darker than the highlights here, and so we're probably gonna have to try and just average out our metering settings here, and this is something that a camera basically just would not be able to figure out really, especially if you're shooting an old film camera that has probably a very simple meter. So the shadows are saying, let's see, we're getting 500 at 2.8 for our shadows, and our highlights are getting 500 at f11, so the values are just totally different. So how you end up shooting this really depends on what you want the final image to look like, and it's something that I think you should always be thinking about whenever you're thinking about how do you meter light for your camera, is what you want the final image to look like, and you should be very intentional about shooting for that. So, you know, here I could shoot just at 2.8 if I wanted a really light and airy look at 500th of a second shutter. And if I wanted a more of like a hard, crisp, like dark shadows and cleanly exposed highlights, then I'd probably shoot it at f11. Then the other option is that you can balance one way or another. So I'm probably going to shoot these with the highlight squares of her face a bit blown, but not all the way blown. So I'm probably going to shoot this right around 1000 at 2.8. So that would be the same as shooting at 500 at f4. So another situation another thing that you can try if you're in a situation with really hard lighting like we have right now, is you can actually, if you want a soft lighting, you can actually just flip the model around and shoot against the sun or backlit. So I'm going to be having Maddie, our subject here, you're going to be facing this direction here, and I'm going to be over here shooting through this. And so we're getting instead of getting a really hard lighting, we're actually getting a really soft like backlit, and we're using these curtains here to kind of accentuate that.